News out of Iowa that should serve as a blinking red light for Republicans. First-time Democratic Party candidate Caitlin Dray has not only won the Iowa Senate District 1 seat, flipping a Republican seat to Democratic control, but has broken the Republican supermajority in the Iowa Senate in doing so. And just as impressive, this is a seat that Donald Trump won in 2024 by 11 points, now seeing a more than 10-point swing to the left, meaning this is a 21-point swing from red to blue. If we saw the national environment turn to the same extent this seat in Iowa has, that would mean Democrats would win the House and Senate and eliminate any semblance of a mandate that Trump and Republicans ever had. Another blinking red light for Republicans in Iowa, the state's U.S. Senator Joni Ernst is up for re-election this upcoming cycle in 2026. And according to public policy polling, PPP's new Iowa poll finds that Joni Ernst is unpopular and could face a tough fight for re-election next year. Only 39% of voters approve of the job Ernst is doing, to 47% who disapprove. Just 38% say they want to re-elect her, to 52% who prefer someone new, and a matchup with a generic Democrat opponent is virtually tied, with Ernst getting 45% and her hypothetical foe 43%. In fact, she's actually trailing one of her Democratic opponents, Zach Wahls, 45% to 43%. And if you're wondering why that might be, well, I think I have an idea, given that this was one of her most recent appearances at a town hall.
When you are arguing about illegals that are receiving Medicaid benefits, 1.4 million, 1.4, they are not eligible. So they will be coming off. So people are not, well, we all are going to die. So for heaven's sakes, folks.
And as if that wasn't bad enough, when she was confronted with the massive backlash for her heartless statement in light of 17 million Americans getting their health care ripped away, she opted, of course, to double down.
Hello, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize for a statement that I made yesterday at my town hall. I was in the process of answering a question that had been asked by an audience member when a woman who was extremely distraught screamed out from the back corner of the auditorium, "People are going to die." And I made an incorrect assumption that everyone in the auditorium understood that, yes, we are all going to perish from this earth. So I apologize. And I'm really, really glad that I did not have to bring up the subject of the tooth fairy as well. But for those that would like to see eternal and everlasting life, I encourage you to embrace my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Weird how this woman can't manage to elevate her approval rating in her state. Truly one of life's great mysteries. And of course, this latest special election result wasn't the only warning sign for Republicans. Earlier this summer, Democrat Sam Sutton won a special election for New York State Senate District 22, a district that Trump won by 55 points in November of 24. This is a district where Trump got 77% of the vote in November. And yet, when voters had the chance to send a Republican to the state Senate, they chose the Democrat by an almost 2-to-1 margin. That was an 89-point swing from red to blue in a matter of months. And that came just days after Democrat John Ewing Jr. pulled off a stunning upset victory in the Omaha mayoral race in Nebraska, defeating 3-term Republican incumbent John Stoddard, flipping that seat from red to blue and marking the first time that a Democrat has been elected mayor of Omaha since 2009. And as we've seen so much throughout the country, Trump has dragged down the Republican Party like a human anchor, and this is the result. Hell, it's not even limited to our own country. If you're a conservative anywhere in the world, chances are your tangential relationship to Donald Trump will mean that you're going to lose an election, as was the case in Romania, Canada, and Australia. When I say there is no place on earth that you're safe from any affiliation from Trump, I'm not joking. Here's Canada's Mark Carney making it very clear where he stands as far as Trump is concerned.
As I've been warning for months, America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never. But these are not idle threats. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen.
And just like in Canada, here's Australia's Anthony Albanese calling out Trump over the trade war.
But the Australian people have every right to view this action by the Trump administration as undermining our free and fair trading relationship and counter to the shared values that have always been at the heart of our two nations' long-standing friendship. This will have consequences for how Australians see this relationship. These are uncertain times, but Australians can be absolutely certain of this. Our government will always stand up for Australian jobs, Australian industry, Australian consumers, and Australian values.
Of course, now Romania, Canada, and Australia's conservatives can join the American conservatives who've sat idly by as Trump has unilaterally destroyed their own election prospects. Since Trump took office, where he demanded total fealty from his party and then went on to send costs surging, spike inflation, alienate the US on the world stage, now the rest of his own party here in the US is forced to bear the political burden. And the electoral consequences have been beyond apparent. Just a few months ago, the two Republican candidates in Florida's special elections underperformed by 16 points and 22 points respectively from the party's 2024 margin. In Wisconsin, liberal Supreme Court Justice nominee Susan Crawford overperformed the 2024 presidential election contest by 11 points en route to her victory in that race. In Pennsylvania, Democrats overperformed by 15 points and 17 points in two state legislative seats en route to victories there, one of which solidified Democratic control of the Pennsylvania State House, and the other of which flipped a seat from red to blue. Across the U.S., of the dozens of races held since Election Day in 2024, Democrats are seeing a roughly 11-point swing to the left, with several of those races seeing Democrats flip seats formerly held by Republicans. In other words, we are seeing both domestic and international backlash to Trump's erratic style of governance. And if all of this feels remarkably similar to what we saw in 2017, you'd be right. After Trump's shock victory in 2016, Democrats began outperforming expectations in special elections across the country. They flipped a state Senate seat in Delaware by 16 points. They won a state House seat in New Hampshire that had been in Republican control for 30 years. In Virginia, they came within a hair of taking control of the House of Delegates, picking up 15 seats when most analysts had predicted they'd gain maybe 5 or 6. And what happened after all of that? The 2018 midterm saw Democrats flip 41 House seats by the biggest margin in modern American history and take back majority for the first time in 8 years. Now look, I'm not saying any of this to make you feel complacent. Quite the opposite. I'm saying this to show you that even when it feels like the chips are down and hope feels lost, we can win. That doesn't mean it won't take work and organizing and volunteering and donating and door knocking and canvassing and messaging and fixing our own brand problems, but the environment is obviously favorable to Democrats. Our job is to capitalize on it. There's plenty of work to do, but so far it does seem to be paying off. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.